All right, guys, here at the machine, I am going to, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew an edge about 1/4 inch inside all the way around this to attach the two materials so I can get rid of the needles, and then I'm going to put the binding on it. All right, so I got my initial line around here. Now I'm going to pull all my needles out and do the binding. You can wait till after you add the pockets to do the binding. That way you cover the edge of the of at least one of the pockets. But the way I do it, I just go ahead and put the binding on now for the gross grain. Always fold the edge over first and then cup it in on itself. Look at about halfway. I'm gonna start up here on this edge and kind of hold it on there, get it in the needle, start sewing. All right, there you go. Edge bound. Now we're ready to start working on the pocket. All right, so we have the basic for our bag cover done. Now I'm gonna move on to the pocket. And I don't know if this is the way you're supposed to do it, but this is how I do it. I take the widest part of my pocket material, fold it in half, and I mark the halfway mark. I do the same on the bottom end. All right, then I take my half circle, I fold it in half, and I mark it at the halfway mark. So now, I can line up, so we know that the short end versus the long end is the bottom, and I want my camo material pointed down, right? So I'm going to seam face to face. I'm going to seam it. I'm going to place the material on the pocket like so. We'll line up my center lines, and I'm going to start stitching this edge, moving this around. And what that'll do is once you have it turned inside out, it makes it so you don't see the seam. So again, material with the outside facing in towards the material. That's how you're going to want to sew it. And you want to go center line to center line. So I lost my center line. There it is. Still have it. And I'm gonna go about a 1/4 inch in on these. The reason I start at the center is because I want to make sure, actually, sorry guys. The reason I'm starting at the center and going around to my edge is because I want to make sure I have enough overlap on the end so that I can roll it under when we add the pocket to the bag. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. Okay, so with this, you got to milk it a little bit. As you're going around, as you're sewing this, you've got to do little increments and then move the edge of the material to follow the circle. I don't think you can see that. Let me see here. There we go. So you're going to move this material around to follow the curve of the material. All right. Trim up all your little pieces. That's what you got. And turn it inside out. Make a nice looking seam that ain't going anywhere. And that's the bottom of your pocket. All right. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, now we got the bottom of our pocket done, is we are going to roll the sides in. It's about a 1/4 inch or so. Roll them down in and put a stitch in there so that it holds. So when we do put this on the bag, it's a clean edge. So I'm just going to roll over by a 1/4 inch all the way up. And you also want to do the sides before you do the top, because the top is where you're going to put your shot cord, and you don't want those ends closed up. You do not want those closed up. So you do the sides first, then the top. All right. And remember, you're rolling it towards the inside. All right, so there's my lip for my shot cord. There's the bottom, sides. So as this mounts up, this top end will be closed in a little bit like so. And you have the bottom will be plenty big enough for rope. All right, now we're going to move on to getting the small side pocket done. All right, so for the side pocket, that is the piece that has the diagonal end. I'm going to take the 3/8 or 1/4 inch, this is 3/8 inch webbing. I'm going to secure it to that diagonal cut, like so. And then I'm going to roll it over and secure it again. That gives you a rigid front, which is still plenty big enough to get your devices into, but it also keeps it from getting sloppy or anything falling out. So be sure to cut your end off square of your webbing, burn it. Sew it on there. Now I'm wanting to sew it onto the inside of the pocket. The pocket's going to sit with the like this, so I'm going to sew it onto this side so I can roll it over and do it again. Always do a lock stitch. And what I do is I pull the mesh tight while I'm going along. It gives me a little more room up at the top. To the end. Lock your stitch. You're going to cut off that excess. You're going to burn it. Alright, so you see that kind of stretched that out. That's what I wanted to do because that's going to bring it in and create a little bit of a curve for me. Now I'm going to roll this over and do it one more time. And I'm going to sew it the same way I just did. Don't have to stretch it anymore now. Then we'll be good to go, and I'll show you where we're at from there. Alright, got that sewed on. You can see that adds some rigidity to the pocket. That's the reason I like that. Give yourself some room to roll these edges over. But that is prepped and ready to go onto the bag too. Next is the cover. Again, this is one of those deals where you're going to start in the middle. You're going to take this bad boy and fold it in half. You're going to fold it in half with the camo out showing. And what I like to do is a little bit of overkill, but I'm going to put a stitch right down the bottom end, about 1/2 inch up, all the way down. That way it keeps the center and it makes it look like. Get that top tension a little high. All right, so there's my bottom edge sewed on, so I'm ready to roll with this bad boy. So this takes me a minute to think about, but so we're basically going to go center to center on this edge here on the unsewed, unfinished edge, and you're going to sew around, keeping this bending end till you get to the end, and you'll have some overlap, and that's what you want. Same thing on both sides. And you're going to start center of the circle and center of the cap edge. So again, I'm going to take this and mark it. Got it. And I'm going to mark my circle, and I'm going to mark it too. Take my circle and mark it at the midway point. Again, that's going to be facing down because we want that or this black, the camo side is going to be facing towards the material, because when we turn it inside out, we want the camo material out, showing. Actually, I almost missed a step. I just caught it. On this back side, you're going to want to fold this over, camo side up, about a 1/2 inch, and sew it all the way down. The reason for that is because that is going to create the flap that you're going to sew to the bag so that it closes over onto the, so it closes over and covers everything. Sorry guys, you're having to get caught in the video of me thinking out loud. Yep, that's right. So you're going to fold that over 1/4 inch, create the flap, and then we're going to attach our edge. Now we're ready to get back to our material. Okay, like I said, black side up, halfway point marked. Black side goes against camo side, and you'll sew that in. We're going to cut all our tail ends off. Turn that inside out. There you have the lid, or the cover for the thing. And then this is going to attach onto the back of the bag. So it can open up, close down. And all these inside strands will get burned off, so it doesn't come apart. These little side pieces, a lot of times I'll just fold those in and sew those down as well, like that. And I'm going to do that now. All right, there's your lid. Open it up, close over the bag, good to go. All right, now we're ready to start putting the bag together.